What's happening, mediocre people to YouTube? I just finished watching President Trump's press conference and part of the Nancy Pelosi press conference. Mitch McConnell's supposed to speak later on today. But yeah, the president's press conference, it was something else. I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a huge blow up with a reporter, I think he's from CNN, and he didn't want to let go of the microphone, and the president said, okay, next question. And this young girl, they all look young to me now, but she's probably 20 years old or whatever, and part of her job was to, take the microphone to the next person. And so, like I said, the president said, okay, next question, and she went to grab the microphone from the guy, and he fucking ripped it out of her hands, and President Trump fucking let him have it, and I'm so fucking happy to have a president that's willing to fucking do that, because I'll tell you what, I watched his press conference, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought that everything he said in that press conference basically more or less aligns with my views on things. I thought he was great. He talked about finding a way to work with Democrats, and that he's more than willing to negotiate and all that good stuff. Now, watching part of Nancy Pelosi's press conference, she says it, under her breath that, oh yeah, it's all bipartisanship, but, as long as we get what we want. And I guess my question for Nancy Pelosi would be this. If you're so goddamn good at your job, why is your district the fucking worst district in the entire fucking country? Why do you have people defecating on the streets? Why do you have fucking heroin addicts everywhere, homeless? It's fucking incredible how she's kept her job this long. And, and I used to admire Nancy Pelosi, and I guess I do have a little admiration for her, because she does work hard to keep her job. That's about all she's good at, is keeping her job, which is, she has miserably failed at her job, in my opinion. And I'm really upset about this with Nancy Pelosi, because like I said, at one time, I really admired her work, and I thought that she did... she represented a lot of good things, and in the past 15 years or so, like I said, the only thing she's managed to be good at is keeping her job, and she is fucking... San Francisco is one of the most beautiful places in the entire country. It's gorgeous. Unfortunately, it's filled with a bunch of fucking libtards who have passed policy, and you've got sick people on the streets everywhere, literally shitting in the fucking middle of the streets and on the sidewalks. And so, like I said, if you're so fucking great at your job, Nancy Pelosi, why is your district the fucking absolute worst in the country when it's one of the most beautiful places in the country? It's just sad to me. And I guess that's my Nancy Pelosi rant. But anyway, but the president was, he took it in stride. I mean, I think we all knew that we're going to lose the House. I think it's kind of typical of a president that is aggressive the way Trump is, and it's happened just time and time again in midterm elections. Again, I mentioned yesterday about, and I know they always say, oh, record number of voters, record. But yesterday we really did have some record numbers come in, and when that happens, generally like I say, the majority of the country is liberal, and if the majority of the country is actually voting, then that's what you're going to see, is a lot of Democrats getting in. So really no surprises. Republicans kept the Senate, and even more so. No real surprises. I really hope these Democrats can simmer down now and actually focus on the negotiation that is supposed to go on between Republicans and Democrats, and actually get something done. I think I've said this before, but there was a time in my life where I watched way too much fucking C-SPAN. I mean, I was watching it every day. You know, I would come home and DVR or whatever, and that's all I watched was what went on in Congress. And that's where it really blew my mind when I would watch a news report and they would say, "Oh yeah, this happened in Congress today," and it was like, okay, maybe they didn't completely lie about what happened in Congress that day, but they never told the complete truth. And at that time, we had the one particular time that I remember very well was the Democrats came up with a bill, and the Republicans said, "That's a great idea, but we're on board. We want to pass it." And as soon as the Republicans said that, the Democrats disconnected themselves from the bill and said, "That's preposterous. We want nothing to do with that bill." It was their own bill. So, you know, it was kind of at that time that I lost hope in a lot of what was going on. And in my opinion, there's way too many members of Congress that have been there far too long. Far too long. Am I for term limits? I'm not sure yet. You know, I'm a constitutionalist. I believe in what the Constitution says. I think it should be followed. I guess I would have to think about it and research it more to make a better case and whether to say I would agree with term limits or not. I'm not sure at this point in my life, but it's definitely, you know, it's definitely one of those things that's on my mind because of the people that have just been in there far too long, such as Nancy Pelosi. But for everybody that thinks Trump's an asshole, you know, and I'm one of them. I think he's an asshole, but, you know, you gotta remember something. I'm an asshole. So, it really makes you, when you look back in hindsight, of course, everything's clear. But it makes you realize, you know, when you watch this press conference today, if you think Trump's an asshole, I mean, you must think Barack Obama was a complete fucking dick, you know, because, I mean, the way he was just, nope, there's nothing to discuss, you know, period, if it's not going to be our way, period. And now, you got to give the Democrats a little slack here because, don't forget, for 8 years, the leader of the country, Barack Obama, our president, and the leader of basically the Democratic Party, he's the one that taught them to do this. Barack Obama is the person who led his party to just say, nope, if it's not going to be Democratic, it's going to be no way. You know, so got to keep that in mind when you're watching these Democrats. They need to really be deprogrammed. And I think a lot of, not just Democrats, I think there's a lot of Democrats and Republicans who all need to be deprogrammed. Look at our country for what it is and say, okay, where do we go from here? And find some common ground. Because this nonsense of, if it's not going to be Republican, then it's not going to be. If it's not going to be Democrat, it's not going to be. This gets nothing done. It doesn't help anyone at all. So, President Trump, right on. Nancy Pelosi, hope you can focus on doing your job instead of focusing on getting elected. And I know these Congress members have to run every 2 years, and there's been many congressmen that have said, it's tough because, just about the time you start to do your job, it's time to start running for re-election again. And like I said, Nancy Pelosi is an absolute professional at getting elected. She's not good at much else. So anyway, that is the last of my political stuff for a while. We're going to get back to your regularly scheduled program, which is whatever the fuck's going on in my life. But it's definitely going to be more musical oriented as, hey, fall's here, winter's approaching, and this is when I start writing. And a lot of times I did a lot of writing over the summer, and did a lot of fucking music over the summer. I guess I really should do some videos on that, and I did get footage of playing music and whatnot over the summer, so I really need to. I've got a shitload of video that I need to edit and put together and everything else, so I'm gonna get to work, and peace.